The new way Google is helping people land good-paying jobs, no college degree needed. ABC's Rebecca
August
Jarvis takes a look.
2020, the United States is in a free fall. 40 million people have filed for unemployment in the 3 months since COVID hit. The industries that employed the most people, the restaurants, hospitality, retail, transportation, have either collapsed or are operating at a fraction of their capacity. And the standard advice, go get a degree, get a better job, has never looked hollow because colleges are closed, remote, or unaffordable. And the jobs a degree was supposed to unlock have also largely ceased to exist. Into that moment walks Google. Kent Walker, their SVP of Global Affairs, publishes a post. The headline, "Certificates, not degrees, can unlock economic opportunities for most Americans." The argument is clear, eloquent, even. He writes that college degrees are out of reach for many Americans, that you should not need a college diploma to have economic security, that the credential system has failed millions of people. The poor, the non-white, the rural, those raising children, those working multiple jobs, who never had access to 4 years in the university in the first place. He's right about the problem, completely, demonstrably right. And then he announces the solution. Google career certificates, 6 months on Coursera, about $300, covering data analytics, IT support, project management, UX design, cybersecurity, fields that Google said had an average starting salary of $69,000 a year. And then the line that made this go everywhere: in our own hiring, we will now treat these new career certificates as the equivalent of a 4-year degree for related roles. Think about what that sentence is doing. It's not saying the certificates will help. It's not saying the certificate is a good start. It's saying the certificate is the degree from Google, the company that people leave Ivy League schools to go and work at, the company that receives millions of applications a year and accepts a fraction of a percent. That Google. The response was enormous. The article was shared millions of times. It was covered by every major outlet. It was sent from parent to child, from spouse to spouse, from advisor to student. It was posted in Facebook groups for laid-off workers. It was pinned in the subreddits for career changers. It landed in the inbox of people who had been told their whole lives that the degree they couldn't afford was the thing standing between them and stability. And for those people, working class people, immigrants, single parents, people of color, who had been systematically excluded from the credential economy for generations, this wasn't a tech announcement. This was a door opening. So people walked through it. Now, let's talk about what was waiting on the other side. The 70% start. Every piece of Google's marketing for these certificates leads with the same number. Over 70% of Google career certificate graduates report positive career outcome, such as a new job, promotion, or a raise within 6 months of completion. 70%. That's the headline. That's the proof point. That's the number on the landing page, in the press release, in the impact reports, in every piece of coverage that takes the program seriously. And I want you to look at the sentence very carefully because it contains something that requires unpacking. A positive career outcome, such as a new job, promotion, or a raise. A new job, a promotion, or a raise. Not a tech job, not a job in the field the certificate covers, not a job with a $69,000 starting salary, not a job that required any of the skills the 6 months of coursework were supposed to teach. A race, any race, at any job, including the one you already had when you enrolled. So if you spent 6 months studying data analytics, completed the Google certificate, kept working your current job, and got a 25% raise, you are a positive career outcome. You count in the 70%. If you are studying project management and got promoted to shift supervisor at a retail store, that's a positive career outcome. You are in the 70%. If you got any new job at all, not a tech job, not a job that you used anything you learned, any job, you are in the 70%. That's not a measurement of whether the certificate worked. That's a measurement of whether your life moved in a positive direction during the period you were enrolled and for the 6 months afterwards, which is a very different thing. Now, here is the sourcing problem layered on top of the definition problem. That 70% figure comes from Google's own graduate survey, self-reported, not independently, not tracked against a control group of people who didn't take the certificate. The survey captures the people who finished the program and felt engaged enough to respond. The people who spent $300, completed the coursework, applied for jobs, had nothing, got discouraged, and stopped responding to surveys, they are not in the data. This is what researchers call survivorship bias, and it makes self-reported outcome statistics for paid programs almost useless. Here is what would actually tell us something. A randomized controlled study run by independent research organization with a control group. Does that exist? Actually, yes. It's being conducted right now. MDRC, a well-respected independent policy research organization, is currently running a formal evaluation of Google career certificate programs. They are studying employment outcomes, earnings, wage growth, housing stability, food security. That study hasn't published results yet. Google is marketing on its own numbers while the independent audit is still underway. And in the meantime, let's hear from the people doing the actual hiring. What employers actually think. A senior vice president at Robert Half, one of the largest tech staffing agency in the country, said it plainly in 2021. If you have been having a hard time getting interviews because you lack experience or a degree, these certificates will not guarantee an interview. A hiring manager quoted in the 2024 Dice Tech salary report was blunder. The Google certificate shows a candidate has learned the basics, but the manager still wanted either a degree or a respected third-party certification. CompTIA, AWS, Cisco, those carry weight. The manager said because they are administered by neutral organizations with established credibility. Google administers grades and awards its own certificates. There is no independent verification that the certificate holder actually knows their stuff. A 2024 LinkedIn talent report found that 58% of hiring managers still prefer traditional degrees. The 42% who accept non-degree candidates typically require industry-recognized third-party certificates or a significant portfolio evidence. A Google certificate alone doesn't meet that threshold for most of them. So, here's where we are. The promise was the certificate was equivalent to a 4-year degree in the Google's own hiring. The reality is that 58% of hiring managers still prefer the degree, that the people get keeping the jobs the certificate was supposed to unlock were never part of the announcement, that the 70% success rate is built on a definition of success that includes getting a raise at a completely unrelated job, and that the independent study that would actually tell us whether any of this worked is still running. One more thing, what percentage of Google Career Certificate graduates have been hired at Google? Google has published the answer to many questions about the program. They've published the total number of graduates. They've published the 70% outcome figure. They've published the list of 150 employer partners. They've published the scholarship numbers, enrollment demographics, revenue from the program. They have never published how many graduates got hired at the company that told them the certificates were equivalent to a degree. The company that made the promise has never reported whether they kept it. Before we go further, I want to be precise about something. This video is not an argument that Google Career Certificates are worthless. Some people have gotten real jobs from them. The skills taught are real skills. The courses are genuinely well produced. What this video is about is the architecture around the certificates, the system that certificates exist inside. Because to understand why the certificates often doesn't do what it claims to do, you have to understand who built the prison it was supposed to exit from. And the story has 3 acts of its own. It is a fact that Harvard Business School documented after analyzing 26 million job listings. Employers have spent the last 2 decades adding degree requirements to jobs that didn't previously require them, and that haven't actually changed. Not jobs that got more complex, not jobs that started acquiring new technical knowledge. The same jobs: secretary, supervisor, operations coordinator, customer service manager, dental receptionist. These roles existed in 2000 without degree requirements. By 2015, they added them. The work did not change. The credential requirement did. Harvard researchers called this degree inflation. The formal term is up-credentialing. What it describes is the employers using a college degree as a free filter, a way to narrow the candidate pool without doing any actual work assessing competence. And the cost of that free filter is paid entirely by workers. The Harvard Business School research found that nearly 2/3 of the employers they surveyed admitted they had rejected applicants who had the actual skills and experience needed for the job. Rejected them solely because they lacked the degree, not because the degree taught anything relevant, not because the degree holder performed better, because the degree was a convenient way to cut the pile. The impact felt hardest on exactly the people you'd expect. Research found that arbitrary degree requirements have disqualified more than 70% of Black, Latinos, and rural workers from jobs they were genuinely qualified to perform. This is the original injury. Before any certificate existed, before Coursera was founded, before LinkedIn Learning ran its first ad, The credential system was rigged by the people doing the hiring, not the people doing the learning. And then it got worse. Here's how a credential spiral works. In 1970, a high school diploma got you a middle-class job. Then employers started requiring a bachelor's degree from the same jobs. So more people went to college. So more people had bachelor's degree. So more people could afford to be more selective. So they started requiring master's degree for jobs that previously required bachelor's degree. And now, people with master's degree were applying for jobs that previously required bachelor's degree, which meant bachelor's degree holder were being pushed into jobs that previously required high school diplomas. Every turn of the spiral devalues the credential you already have and creates demand for the next one up. A Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis report found that more than half of the US college graduates now begin their career in jobs that don't require a college degree. More than half. They got the degree that was supposed to guarantee success to the good jobs, and they are working jobs that never required it. The credential arms race has produced a system where having a degree no longer guarantees you a job that requires one, but not having one still locks you out of trying. And who profits from the spiral? The universities. Every time an employer added a degree requirement to a job listing, it created demand for the university's product. Tuition went up because demand was going up. Federal students' loans expanded to meet tuition increases. The student loan portfolio in America is now 1.7 trillion. That number isn't an accident or a tragedy. It is the financial consequence of a deliberate structural choice made by the employers to use a credential as a filter, combined with the university's decision to charge whatever the market would bear, knowing the market had no alternative. The universities did not set the trap, but they built a comfortable business inside it. Now, here's where it gets darkly interesting. Around 2020, the same moment Google made the announcement, dozens of